For the GUE, Fabio De Masi.
Yeah, as Markus Ferber.
Now, Markus Ferber and Sylvia.
A bit on the Capital Markets Union. I might be inclined to say take your time. And I guess your wife would agree, as she has some experience with plumbers doing a hasty job at home. However, I wanted to make two general comments on the Capital Market Union. First of all, I think that the problems we are currently witnessing in Europe is not a problem of liquidity. We have a lot of liquidity in the financial system, but credit has not come in force, and every banker can surely explain that a bank can only extend credit if there's sufficient demand for credit. And so I feel we should address the demand side of things. And there's a very famous European Minister of Finance who also said we don't have the problem of liquidity in the financial system, we have the problem of investment demand. And the surname of this finance minister was not Varoufakis, it was Wolfgang Schäuble, and I tend to agree on this with him. Secondly, I think we should not be trapped by comparing US and EU capital markets, because these are historically very different regions. Europe is more fragmented and it relies more on traditional bank lending. This is also visible in the data, so firms rely on traditional bank lending and we cannot declare away that fact. Thirdly, I want to say there are certainly elements in your initiative that I agree with. For example, the review of the Prospectus Directive and the development of European private placement markets. However, we also agree that institutional investors have a role to play in financing the real economy to the extent that they use their long-term liabilities to act in a counter-cyclical way. However, we also see risks attached. I have nothing against transparent and simple securitization, but I don't see how tranching, for example, which is entailed in your framework, would help that. We rather feel that this creates model uncertainty, additional complexity, and conflicts of interest such as moral hazard. And lastly, let me put my question to you. The feedback so far we got from stakeholders is that for SMEs, which are of particular concern in the European economy, many believe that securitization is for SMEs too complex, too expensive, and wouldn't work out with subsidies. So I would be interested in your opinion on that.
Well, I think, first of all, there are, as you rightly say, there are two sides to the question. There's a supply side and a demand side, and the main focus of my work is on the supply side, and I think we need to address both, and that's what I am focused on doing. I agree very much with your point that we mustn't seek to think we need to import a particular model, in this case the American model. You rightly say we have a different history, different culture, different laws, different instruments, and I'm fully in agreement with you about that. I think if there are examples that it's useful for us to study and aspects from which we can learn, then I think we should be prepared to do that. The examples that I've been using so far about the different size of our respective markets is simply to illustrate some of the potential upside if we were to get things right. But I also agree that we have a long and strong tradition of banking, of our banking system, and I am not about trying to replace that long tradition, but to try to supplement it, to add to it. And I think in parts of the EU where that's working well, I'm sure that people will want to carry on working closely with the local banks. But in other parts where it's not working well, to have alternative sources of funding seems to me a sensible direction in which to drive. I welcome the point you made about that. So long as securitization is transparent and simple, that you would feel that that's something we should look at. I think on the specifics of how one goes about it, I think this is we need to work through as part of the consultation and reflecting on the technical advice that is out there from the ECB, from Bank of England, IOSCO looking at this, Basel are looking at this, and I think we need to take a balanced approach and see if we can come up with a framework that mitigates the concerns that you have, but also allows the banks to use securitization and to start, then that makes it easier for them to lend within their ecosystem to the SMEs who want to get lending from the banks.
Thank you. For the Greens, Sven Giegold.